Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to another guide video for Marvel Heroes Omega for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now with this guide video we will be covering the best way to actually min-max your hero. So in order to do that we will be looking at the various gear slots available on heroes and what enchantments and modifications you can actually add to them in order to make the most of your hero. So the hero I've chosen to do that on is Black Cat. Now I don't have ideal modifications on her, but in every slot I do have some kind of bonus added for her, and this way we can show them off and you can actually get a good idea of what you'll be looking for each of all the different gear slots that are available on heroes. So let's bring up this gear wheel and have a look. We'll start off here then by looking at slots 1 to 5. Now the maximum rarity here you can get is currently Cosmic. Now slots 1 and 5 are offensive items, slots 2, 3 and 4 are defensive. So if we look at the claws which we currently have equipped, you see the flat damage rating at the top there, and that's a maximum of 1200. Now on top of this it can roll various different offensive and defensive affixes, but as we can see it can roll up to 3 offensive affixes, and that's actually the same for slots 1, 2, 4 and 5. Slot 3 is a bit of a different one and it's got more utility options. We will look at that in a moment, but for this particular item we're looking at, the top two options which are currently melee and crit damage rating, this will be a combination of damage tags for your hero. So it could be, for example, ranged, melee, gadget, bleed, and on top of that it can be crit damage rating, which we can see, and it can also be brutal damage rating as well. So if you're playing a hero with guaranteed brutes, you want to try and look out for the brutal damage rating on this particular section. Now if we look at the third option down, which is critical hit rating, this can also roll as brutal strike rating and also up to +5 in your primary stat, which would add up to 800 damage rating. Now damage rating we can get through various sources, so I personally recommend looking for crit hit rating or brutal strike rating, and a nice balance of them for your slots 1 to 5 for this bottom white effects. So do keep an eye out for that. It's an easy way when you pick up gear to see if it's going to be useful. Quickly look for the bottom effects and look for crit hit or brutal strike. Now the next option down, we can see we currently have 50 damage rating to melee powers. Now this is added through the Science Fender, and this would be the same for slots 1 and also slot 5 because they are both offensive slots. Now we jump back up to slot number 1. Each of your 5 cosmic items has a cosmic affix, and those can be either defensive, utility or offensive. This particular one is dash and reflects enemy projectiles. Now a particularly great one to look out for is one that would offer you attack speed and damage as well, and I think it's a roughly 8% chance for you to get a proc where that would happen. Now these affixes will not stack, so do try and get 5 different affixes. Next up we look at slot number 2, which is a defensive one, and we can see rather than damage rating we have the damage reduction. Despite that you can still roll the same combination of offensive or defensive affixes as we've seen on the slot 1. So we can see I've got that +5 to my primary attribute that I mentioned could roll down here. We then have actual defensive mods we can add through the Science Fender. In this instance I've chosen to go for dodge rating. If we look at the slot number 4, it's just really the same there. You've got the options of getting the different offensive or defensive attributes, but on top of that I've got the dodge rating as well. Now if we go to slot number 3, this is where things get a bit different here. So with this you can roll offensive or defensive on your first white rating. In this instance I've got brutal damage rating. Your second option is generally a utility and more defensive one, however I've been lucky enough to get an offensive setup on Black Cat, and that's when you use a stealth power, gain critical hit rating and also brutal strike rating, but generally you will be looking at this rolling as a defensive option here. Now on top of this you actually have modifications, again added through your Science Fender. This one will cost 100 legendary marks. what I've actually done to save myself marks is I've used one of the Stark Tech ones because I had extra currency, and it's not particularly good on Black Cat, but I put it on to save my own legendary marks just for showing off this video. So we can see these can offer quite a lot, so this would ideally be perfect on Spider-Man, and it's a chance for your powers to web your enemies and slow them, fighting, critical hit rating, and also damage rating to weapon powers. So make sure to check them out. Make sure you only put this on a perfect slot 3 because you can't transfer it. You don't want to put it on an item, then you get an upgrade and it's cost you another 100 legendary marks there. So we looked at the slot 4 anyway, which is the boots, which as mentioned is defensive, and again we've already touched on the slot 5, which is similar to the slot 1. It's another defensive item. It does also actually offer the damage reduction as well as the damage rating, but on top of that you'd be looking for your usual, your brutal damage rating, your critical damage rating, and then for the bottom option you want your critical hit or brutal strike rating there. But next up what we'll do is we'll check out the rings and see what options they can roll. For the ring, this comes in 2 different flavours. So you'll have offensive rings which offer the critical damage rating, and then you have defensive rings that will actually offer health instead. Now offensive rings will only have offensive affixes. In this instance we can see they offer up to +4 of your primary attribute, so ideally you could get up to, on a perfect ring, you could get +8 to your primary attributes, which is really pretty great. It can also roll things such as attack speed, different damage tags, critical damage rating, brutal damage rating, and I've also seen brutal strike rating on it, which is really pretty great, and I would try and get this on your ring. I don't believe it can roll critical hit rating. If it can, it's exceptionally rare. I've never seen it. So at the moment I would say go for potentially brutal strike rating, and then you may be looking for +4 in one of your primary attributes, or if you have something like a guaranteed brute, try and get your brute damage on that as well. The defensive rings will offer things such as deflect rating, reduction on your medkit cooldown as well. And then you have the cosmic item affix, which is just really for flavour. These aren't too powerful, don't worry about these too much. The more important thing is the green affixes. They're the one you want to make sure you can get nice rolls on there. Next up we then have a look at the artifacts. So with the artifacts you can actually equip up to 3 of these. Now the easiest way to actually choose artifacts that will work great on your hero is simply look at the primary attributes that they offer. That's your best guide as to whether or not the artifact is meant to be for your hero type, or if it also has a specific damage tag. And on the topic of that, if we look at the Sabertooth's furry mane that I have, we can see this is perfect on the Black Cat build I'm using, which is a claw build, because it offers damage rating to claw powers there, and also when you use a bleeding power you gain critical rating, and I have a lot of bleeds on that build. So the artifacts, by and large, simply by looking at them you'll be able to tell what you should be using. Then the main reason I'm showing them off is because through your science finder you can add modifications. Now the particular one I'm using, and you can add these to each of your 3 artifacts and they do stack, I'm using the Vanguard modification, which is a melee one. This will offer damage rating to melee powers and 200 brutal strike rating. So using 3 of these across the 3 slots, that's a rather nice 600 brutal strike rating and 900 damage rating to melee powers. You can also get this in a range variety. The other options you have are more utility and defensive orientated. Now just before we move on to the next section, which will be the relic, I'll quickly mention you can also get cosmic artifacts, and these are generally boss artifacts. It won't be lower end ones, it will be end game artifacts. So it would be, for example, the Sabertooth's furry mane that I have equipped. Even the lizard's formula as well could come in a cosmic variety. Now the cosmic effects can be re-rolled again through the awesome science finder, and it offers various different offensive and defensive options, and also utility. You can gain resource from it, you can gain resource reduction, you can gain plus amount to all attributes, and also you can actually gain a reduction in your signature cooldown as well. So it's really good, and make sure you do try and tailor this towards your particular setup. But next up anyway, let's have a look at the relic slot. So with the relics, when you actually pick these up, they'll stack all the way up to 100. Once you gain them, you go to the relic vendor, you turn them in, and you have a chance of actually getting a complete relic. If you get unlucky and you don't get one, after completing 5 relics, you have lost shards which you can use to actually craft a complete relic of your choice. So the difference between a stack of 100 is that a stack of 100 offers you 1000 health, 500 damage rating. That can be in melee or ranged, or you can also actually get defensive. You can get defense, dodge, deflect, but the complete relic will offer you +1 to all attributes, so that works out at 320 damage rating. So again, it is worth making sure you get a complete relic type that matches for you. Next up then, we will have a look at the catalyst. We have various different options that can roll on the catalyst. Now in the green text, 2 of the options I really like to go for are the become invisible for 3 seconds when you use your med kit, and also gain 418 health when you hit an enemy. Now other options you get which can be offensive orientated, as you can see, would include your primary attributes or also damage tags such as melee, cooldown, ultimate and signature and so on. Now you then have the cosmic option, and there's 2 variants. The defensive one, which I currently have, is gain a damage shield equal to 50% of your maximum health when you use your med kit. The offensive option gives you a bonus of, I believe it's 1000 damage rating after using your signature. So if you're on a hero that has a low cooldown signature, you really want to go for the damage option to make the most of it. You then have the purple bonus we can see here. For Black Cat, it's classed as a tech bonus, but different heroes have different bonuses. Some are a lot more useful than others, so have a play around and see what ones you like. Currently, this one is when you use a power, gain 100 maximum spirit for 10 seconds. It's not that great. The tech bonus side of things doesn't have the best options available. Some of the other ones are fantastic, like Blade for example can have the option to go invisible for a whopping 15 seconds when his health drops below 30%, so that can be really powerful there. But that's your catalyst covered. So next we'll have a look at the medallion slot. Now we have a ton of different options that are available for the medallion slot, and the best way to actually choose a medallion is similar to the artifacts, and look for a damage type that matches your particular hero. So with Black Cat, we're going for melee. This is fantastic. It does stack this damage, so it can go up really quite high. Now for the green effects on it here, it can roll a lot of offensive and defensive options. So you could get health on it, you could get dodge, deflect. I prefer to try and get offensive options here, so I currently have brutal strike rating, but it will actually offer critical hit rating as well, so look for one of those 2 here. I would highly recommend that. And then next up we finish up with a nice easy section, which would be the legendary. This is a simple section then, and one that I have covered in previous videos as to what legendaries work best on heroes. Again, there's no way that you can actually modify this differently the way you would do with your slots 1 to 5 or your artifacts. You simply buy the legendary, you level it, and then you start to unlock the ranks. So just try and match up the damage tags on it as much as you can with the actual hero that you're using. Now one thing I'll mention is some legendaries will be more damage orientated, such as Casket. Other legendaries will offer a nice amount of critical hit rating or brutal strike rating. So if you are going for a legendary which only has damage rating, again, if we think about Casket, make sure you get your critical hit rating and brutal strike rating on your slots 1 to 5, on your ring, and also on your medallion as well. And if you can get it through artifacts that match your damage type, then most definitely go for that as well there. But one thing I'll quickly mention just before we finish up the video is a relatively new feature which not a lot of people know about. We've talked about min-maxing. What you want to do, we know how to use all the slots and what modifications we should put on them and what options can roll. However, if when you're looking at an item you press left on the D-pad, you'll see that it actually brings up the role ranges. So what you can do again through the Science Vendor or Science Crafter even, which makes them exceptionally important because I've mentioned them a few times, you can re-roll various different pieces of gear. You can re-roll your artifacts, you can re-roll your cosmic gear as well, and this way you can try and get better rolls on the particular items you have. But that's all the gear slots covered. I hope this was useful. I do realise it's a lot to take in and there's a lot of options I've been discussing, so if anything doesn't make sense, do let me know in the comments below and I'll certainly look to clarify it. But I hope this was useful. If there's any questions or anything else, as always, feel free to ask, and I'll see you all again soon.